American League Championship Series on FS1, presented by Loan Depot. The scene shifts from Toronto to T-Mobile Park in Seattle. The Blue Jays have not been to the World Series in 32 years. The Seattle Mariners have never been. They are 2 wins away from their first trip to the Fall Classic. We welcome inside with the Hall of Famer John Smoltz. I'm Joe Davis. We asked the question before Game 1, do the Mariners have enough left in the tank after that 5-game series against the Tigers? Turns out it was a bad question. They didn't just survive those 2 games there in Toronto. They won them both, and they did it how they've done it all year, the pitching and the power.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an up and down season until the last 30 games. The last 30 games, you can make an argument they're the best team in baseball. They rode that stretch to win the division, win that improbable 5th game, and then rode to the 2-0 lead in this series. You talked about their ERA and their pitching, outstanding. When they get power, they're tough to beat. All the credit is to that team and that clubhouse for enduring what they did to get to this point.
We're going to find out what these Toronto Blue Jays are made of. They were made of a bunch of offense against the Yankees. They steamrolled through the division series, but they've been stymied through 2 games here. The fastest way for them to turn it around is the guy that had led them for most of the season, Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Absolutely, and it starts in the first inning. They just need to score first, get this great crowd as dim as possible, and it starts with Vladdy. You see 0 for 7. He was outstanding. Toronto wasn't and isn't as great as they were against New York, and they're not as bad as they are the first 2 games. Somewhere in the middle, that offense needs to get clicking with runners on base, and they got to do something better after the 2nd inning. You look at what those numbers are. Those are not characteristic Toronto. I expect a much better offense on the road.
All right, it is the Blue Jays and the Mariners taking another cross-continent flight from Toronto to Seattle. It's the Mariners flying as close to the World Series as they've ever been. Game 3 coming up.
City of Seattle because they love the game of baseball and we're representing them.
We want to do really good for the fans. They've been wild. They've been insane. We're doing this because of them.
We're still hungry for more, so we want to give them, something they never had before, which would mean a lot to us and them as well.
And they're back here in Seattle for the first time since that Game 5 win over the Tigers on a beautiful night for baseball. 60 degrees. We go down to the field. Here's Tom Verducci.
Well, thanks, Joe. This energy, this noise is 50 seasons in the making. Seattle has seen 50 seasons of Major League Baseball. 1 with the 1969 Pilots and 49 with the Mariners, who came around out of a lawsuit when the Pilots skipped town. This town has seen 15 straight losing seasons at the start. 3 first ballot Hall of Famers, 1 team that won 116 games, and this gem of a ballpark that replaced a concrete dome. But it has never seen the World Series. No city has waited longer. Tonight, for the 5th time in history, the Mariners are playing a baseball game 2 wins away from the World Series. They're 0-4 in their previous tries. But this is their best chance. 5 games to win 2, starting right here at home. Their rallying cry is seize the moment. It is a moment, a half-century in the waiting. Now here's Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Tom. The Blue Jays are changing things up tonight. Anthony Santander back in the lineup, batting cleanup behind Vlad Guerrero Jr. Santander is 6 for 15 with 2 homers off George Kirby, and he should be more of a presence in the 4-hole than Addison Barger, who was hitless in the first 2 games and dropped to the number 7 spot tonight. The Blue Jays also are preparing something of a philosophical shift. With the Mariners pounding the zone, the Jays plan to be more aggressive, taking shots on pitches they can handle. Their idea? To force the Mariners out of the zone, force them to start nibbling. Easier said than done, but something has to change. Joe?
All right, Kenny and Tom, let's take a look at this Blue Jays lineup for Game 3. 34 runs during the division series against the Yankees where they looked unstoppable. And then George Springer homers on the very first pitch of this series, but not a whole lot since. Lucas and Guerrero follow Springer, and then it's Santander, as Kenny mentioned, up into the cleanup spot. Alejandro Kirk bats 5th, Dalton Varsho 6th. Both those guys had big division series, but quiet so far in the CS. Addison Barger, Seattle native, makes his return here. Ernie Clements at 2nd, and Andres Jimenez bats 9th and starts it short. Time for tonight's same-game parlay, available now on FanDuel. You need Alejandro Kirk and Julio Rodriguez both to record a hit, and Josh Naylor's coming off another 3-hit game to get an RBI. Well, pitching has paved the way for these Seattle Mariners for years and all year this year. This is George Kirby, who started Game 1, started Game 5 of the division series, 14 strikeouts to just 1 walk. And you go back the last month, really, John, 45 strikeouts to 2 walks. As the games have gotten bigger, he's gone to another level.
He has, and he's going to throw a lot of fastballs, which is refreshing when we have an industry that throws the least amount of fastballs. But he's going to do it a variety of ways, and look for that sinker to be a big part of the game. He has great secondary stuff. And listen, they're up 2 games to none. The most important inning he's going to pitch is the first inning. That sounds like elementary, but you don't want Toronto to get ahead, and the first inning is the best way to put up a 0.
The first inning coming up. We already had the ceremonial first pitch. And they're going with the big dogs here with the championship series having arrived. Randy Johnson, the ceremonial first pitch. Jays is saying, hey, Kirby's tough, but we're glad we're not facing this guy. Get him out of the game before it even starts. And now these Seattle Mariners, after a 3-1 win in Game 1, after a 10-3 win in Game 2, 2 wins from their first trip to the World Series, and back here at a rockin' T-Mobile Park, where they've won 24 of their last 31 games.
Well, it starts with Springer, and he is really good at igniting a team right from the leadoff spot. So look for some aggression early for the Toronto Blue Jays, as they know the pitcher they're facing is in the strike zone a lot.
Their #1 strikeout to walk ratio in Major League history for George Kirby. Speaking of those fast starts, Springer homered on the first pitch of this series, doubled the leadoff Game 2. Those are the only 2 extra base hits for the Jays. Off we go in Game 3, and it's a sinker for a strike.
He's got such great fluidity to his motion. He can throw the ball up in the zone. He throws it up there about as much as anybody as the starting pitcher goes, and look for that to be a key as well.
That's a bouncing ball to third, sized up by Suarez. First out of the ball game. Defense for Seattle will look like this. In the outfield, Rosarena, Rodriguez, and Robles. Rodriguez just announced as a Gold Glove finalist in center field. Suarez and Crawford on the left side. Polanco and Naylor on the right. And Cal Raleigh does the catching for Kirby. 1 away in this first inning. Nathan Lucas, who John Schneider said wouldn't have been in the game in Game 2 had it been the regular season after fouling that ball off his knee, but he grinds his way through it. He had 3 of their 6 hits. 4th outfielder to begin the year, 412 in this postseason. On an 0-1 from Kirby, Lucas fouls it off. Down in the zone, 0-2.
And there's that pitch up. And there's only a couple hitters he wants to stay away from that pitch in the lineup, and the one guy's on deck. But he is a no-nonsense, go-get-him type pitcher, and his defense loves playing behind a guy like this because you're not sitting around. He's not walking guys. He's not creating rallies without hitting the ball.
4 pitches, 4 strikes for George Kirby. Here's his 0-2 inside. Kirby, a first-round draft pick in 2019, debuted in 2022, now in his 4th year. I mentioned the #1 strikeout to walk ratio in Major League history. This is a guy who once began a game by throwing 24 consecutive strikes. He begins this game with 2 quick outs.
Well, the reason this first inning is so important is the adrenaline's through the roof. He'll never pitch another game in his life where the crowd's going to be this intense, knowing they're that close to the World Series. So regular season, you don't have this adrenaline. He's experienced it in the previous series. He came out doing just great, and this will be the biggest game of his life, knowing that the crowd is sensing something that has been waiting for a long time.
His first one to Vlad Jr.'s downstairs, and John Schneider told us, John, a couple hours ago that he sees Vlad getting more and more comfortable being the guy, and never have they needed the guy to be that more than they do right now. Carried him in the division series, hit above 500, but he's hitless in the first 2 games.
Well, this is a great pitcher's park, and the reason that not only is this staff great, but they pitch well here, they attack the zone, and the reason is it's hard to hit homers. I mean, you can do it, but it's hard, and it's a good pitcher's park for a reason.
The last 9 postseason games here, back to 2001, there hasn't been more than 6 runs scored total. It's a tough play for Suarez, and it's thrown by Naylor into the dugout. Guerrero will get second. And just kind of a funky play there. It hung up in the air forever. And then a wild throw. And so Guerrero's at second with 2 out.
Yeah, this ball takes a high chop, and if he short hops it shorter, believe it or not, it's easier. But that short hop was not in the place where Naylor could easily. That's in towards the runner. That's a nightmare for a first baseman because he has to reach in to where the runner is on the base path.
Vlad Jr.'s not that big. He'd be fine.
Sure.
Yeah. Truck him down there. That's ruled a base hit and an E5. And a first inning chance for Anthony Santander. Right away, that lineup change that Ken Rosenthal was telling us about comes into the spotlight. Santander missed last game with a lower back tightness and really has not hit this year. John Schneider, though, says he's got a feeling about him tonight. He's homered against Kirby twice. On a strike. Santander missed a lot of this season with the shoulder issue. He came back for the final week. 4 for 23 since returning. On this 1-1 from Kirby, he swings and misses at the high fastball, strike 2.
Yeah, it's just so tantalizing for the hitter. It looks good coming out of their hand, but that ball has great carry to it. 4-seam version up, 2-seam version down.
Throws that high 4-seam more than anybody in the American League. And opponents hitting 140 against it. His 1-2 is another high fastball.
Wait till you get to see his breaking ball. He hasn't broke it out yet.
How about right there, the slider that he rode against the Tigers. He uses to finish off a scoreless first. Here come the Mariners here in Game 3 of this championship series. Here's the lineup. Same looking group that they had in Toronto, and why not? With the 10 runs they scored in the second game, Arozarena, Raleigh, and Rodriguez. Polanco, Naylor, and Suarez, and then Canzone DHs with Robles and right, and Crawford at short. It's Shane Bieber for the Blue Jays, trying to improve upon his first start of the postseason, where he only lasted 2 2/3 at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, Shane Bieber's, a lot of his success against this team was about 2-3 years ago, and so it's a relatively new pitcher that the Mariners are going to see post Tommy John. That 4-seam fastball plays really well, but it's the slider is the pitch of the night. If he has it, he'll be in there a long time. If he's not, well, Seattle may make it a short outing for him.
Arozarena leads off and takes outside, and he did not have that slider against the Yankees.
He didn't. It rolled too much, and when you throw a slider, it has to turn the corner, especially against right-handed hitters. You've got to have that equalizer on the other side of the plate.
The Cy Young Award winner with the Cleveland Guardians underwent Tommy John surgery last year, missed a year and a half, and so when the Blue Jays acquired him at the deadline, they didn't really know what they were going to get because it had been 500 days since he'd last pitched in a major league game. What you figure you're going to get while you can dream big, though, is going to kind of come and go, right?
Yeah, I mean, next year's going to be fantastic for him, but right now there's that slider again. You could just see that when you come out of a game and you didn't have your slider, you go to work in between, try to figure out mechanically what you did wrong, and that's the version that he doesn't want to see.
Is 3-1 to Rosarena. Rides inside and a leadoff walk. Rosarena's only been on base 3 times in this series, but he's scored all 3 times. The details on Bieber, the 30-year-old from Laguna Beach, California. Won that Cy Young in the 2020 season with Cleveland. And was solid form over 7 starts at a 3.77 ERA, but was not sharp at Yankee Stadium. MVP chance rained down as Raleigh comes up and takes a strike. The home run in the first game, and then 2 walks with the ultimate respect in game 2. Walked him with the base or with nobody out and a runner at second in the 5th inning. And that ultimately led to the go-ahead home run from Polanco.
Well, what adds to the credibility of what I think should be a Hall of Fame, should be a MVP year, this ballpark. He's going to play 81 games here. Now, he hit like 28 home runs still in this ballpark, which is not the most friendly hitter's ballpark. That has to have something to do with his year, and it magnify it in an incredible way.
Yeah, this is the best pitcher's park statistically in baseball. Really the opposite end of the spectrum for him from Coors Field when it comes to the offensive environment. Back foot misses, 1-2. Here's those home run splits we were talking about. 28 of his 60 came right here. That much more impressive for the whole lineup.
Yeah.
3rd in the majors in home runs. Bieber to Raleigh with a 1-2 pitch. Ball 2. With an intentional walk with nobody out in the 5th inning in game 2. He joins a list that is now Mantle, Rick Monday in the 1981 World Series, and Albert Pujols. Those 3 guys and Big Dumper, the guys that have drawn that much respect, that much fear, that early in a ball game.
Well, they also hit 8 home runs in that ballpark on the road, so he was Babe Ruth as far as John Snyder was concerned.
Rosarena's at first, nobody out. A 2-2 and a fly ball the other way for Lucas. On the move in the foul ground, he's got it. Rosarena chugging back to first, way too close. He's in there okay. 1 gone in this first inning. We take a look at Fox Foresight, powered by Google Cloud, with the 3 home runs to lead to the 10 runs in game 2. That's now 10 this postseason for a team that rode the long ball all year.
Well, 5 is the magic number for Toronto. They have an incredible record, 71-4 in the regular season when they scored 5. And it's really the Seattle Mariners that have done what Toronto's been doing in the first 2 games of the series, scoring a lot of runs.
Julio Rodriguez, who reached base 3 times in the first game, had the home run to get him going in game 2. And talking with Dan Wilson before the game about the impact he makes, not just with what he does on the field, but the energy that he brings. Dan said he lifts that whole dugout up when he does stuff like he did in game 2.
Yeah, he also said when he stays center to right center, he knows he's locked in, not trying to pull everything.
There goes Rosarena. Here's the throw from Kirk. It's not in time, and a stolen base for Randy. Well, he's not been on much, but when he has, he's wreaked havoc.
Yeah, they steal a lot of bases. I think 3rd person in baseball, so they have the ability to create that tension for opposing pitchers. And they'll steal 3rd base, by the way. They steal it a lot.
Runner in scoring position for Rodriguez. Takes inside, 1-1. Now Rosarena on base for the 4th time in these 3 games. He's got 3 stolen bases on those 4 trips and trying to make it 4 for 4 in runs scored. Rodriguez drills a ball to left center field, headed back there. Goodbye. And it's Rodriguez starting the Mariners once again with another first inning home run. Now Polanco to right center field. Santander not going to get there. It's a double for Polanco.
Well, this home run was center cut, and this young man has had all the talent in the world, and he gets it right out in front. That is extension, and out in a hurry.
They got Sheck West rocking in here. It is a party in Seattle already. And now getting greedy with Josh Naylor standing in. 3 more hits in game 2. It's his 3rd 3-hit game out of his last 4. Injured his groin a few weeks back, and that was bothering him again in game 2. We asked Dan Wilson, how's he doing? And he said, he's okay. And I went and asked Josh, said, how you feeling? And he said, I'm alive. And so that time of year where he's just fighting through it to get on the field.
Well, he was unbelievable against Detroit. He had some great at-bats that really helped Seattle move on to this next level. And he hasn't had that start here against Toronto, but his teammates have been picking him up, especially that guy.
On a 1-1 from Bieber. Hammer with a big rip and a foul.
One thing Dan Wilson kept talking to us about is what special thing they have inside that clubhouse. They're close-knit. You hear that all the time from managers and successful teams, but sometimes there's separators, and they have been through so much. They travel. We talk about all their travel. We talk about everything they had to go through this season. The growing confidence of this ball club when they score some runs is through the roof because their pitching staff has the confidence 1 through 13 to lock down anybody they face. So this is not a surprise to them. It's a surprise to everybody else because of how they came about getting to Toronto and everything that Toronto did to the Yankees.
For the last 2 years, the Mariners missed the postseason by a single game, and a lack of offense was the biggest reason why. They've had the pitching for years. This year, for a lot of it, the offense was actually better than the pitching because there were so many injuries to the pitching staff. But then you look up at the end of the year, the pitching's getting healthy. Those guys are all pitching well. They add pieces at the deadline. The offense goes to another level. And we talked about it right off at the top. This is now more than a month. They're almost unbeatable. 2-2. Got him with a high fastball, and the bat goes flying.
No, you're right. I mean, you watch this baseball year as a whole, it was the streakiest baseball season I've ever remembered. And they were part of that streak. They were in a horrid place. And then all of a sudden, after they left, once they got to Atlanta, they started turning it around. And then they went 17 out of 18 they won at a stretch and locked down the division shortly before the season ended and really haven't looked back since.
Eugenio Suarez, who doubled in the first game, hit in the walk in game 2, takes upstairs. Again, Wilson talked about the start of that 17-1 stretch, a couple big offensive explosions, and everybody just kind of exhaled. Everybody was uptight there, trailing the Astros by 3 games. Looking like it was maybe headed for the same fate that it had been the last 2 years, just out of a playoff spot, but then they all came to life together.
Well, it starts with him. He's the can't-miss kid. And, you know, maybe underperformed a couple of years there and trying to maybe do too much. Offensively, they did not score enough runs. And then all of a sudden, the additions that they made with the guy at the plate and Naylor, who just hit before, and they became a little bit more complete offense.
Good Naylor and Suarez this year. Go back to last year. They got a Rosarena. They got Robles, who was awesome for them. Off balance, pops this one up into shallow center field. The shortstop Jimenez to put it away and end this first inning. But the Mariners take advantage of this full throttle crowd with a 2-run home run from Rodriguez. Off and rolling in game 3. The Mariners 2 wins away from the Fall Classic. Third home run of the postseason for Julio Rodriguez has started the scoring here in Game 3. We welcome it back to Seattle. Alejandro Kirk leads off and takes outside from George Kirby. A couple strikeouts in that first inning. It's Kirk, Varsho, and Barger coming up for the Jays, looking for the response. Kirk with 2 home runs in the first game of the playoffs for Toronto. Is at just 143 in the 5 games since.
Already seeing a rarity, a 2-0 count. You won't see too many of those with Kirby.
There's a strike on that sinker that he's thrown more than half of the time so far. On the year, he's throwing it more than ever. And we've seen in this series the Blue Jays face a ton of sinkers. There's another one right there, and a leaping catch by Naylor at first.
Well, this is great positioning. Way off the bag was Naylor, and gets up for a line drive. Again, getting the leadoff hitter out in the first inning, in every inning of a postseason game is so huge and lessens the stress that you have to navigate.
Here's Varsho with 1 away, taking a strike on a first pitch slider. I mentioned him using the slider a ton against the Tigers in Game 5. It was half of his pitch usage, and a lot of it came first pitch. George said, I know they're going to be geared up for a first pitch fastball, so trying to take advantage of that. Quickly ahead 0-2.
Well, he has such a great angle and a release point that slider is late breaking. Some have a good tight break to it. His is late, and the hitter doesn't see it, and then he can follow it up with a bigger breaking ball, a curveball that disappears to the back foot of a left-hander if he wants to throw it.
That's one pitch that the Tigers hit hard. Back to the high fastball here. It's popped way up there. At first base, Josh Naylor, 2 out. Now, the Tigers over the second half were the worst slider hitting team in baseball, and so the Mariners went heavy slider and dominated the Tigers with that. The Blue Jays were the worst sinker hitting team in the majors over the last month, and that's been the pitch that they have attacked them with. And the Blue Jays so far 0 for 19 against sinkers.
But here's the key. It's got to be a good sinker, and they're throwing a lot of them. It's not just a sinker in the middle of the zone that they're missing. They're dotting it on the outside part of the plate and inside when they need to. And that's the key when you're going to face a really good aggressive team in the Toronto Blue Jays. I talked about it in Game 1. You can get a lot of quick outs, or you can get a lot of quick damage. And fortunately for Seattle, after that leadoff home run, they got a lot of outs.
Well, it's like the Mariners have said, we know that this team's going to make a lot of contact. They don't strike out, and so let's lean into that. How can we pound the zone and make that contact weak contact?
Right. And so not a lot of swing and miss, but a lot of strikes.
Barger flies it to center field. Routine for Rodriguez. 1-2-3 second, George Kirby. T-Mobile, the best network in the game, is now the best network in America. As we welcome it back to Seattle, Washington, where it's 2-0 on a Julio Rodriguez home run. The bottom of the order comes up for the Mariners. Dominic Canzone leads off and takes a strike on a changeup from Shane Bieber. Canzone 0 for 6 in this series and just 1 for 12 in the postseason. Bieber's been really good against lefties this year. That changeup that he threw first pitch has been a differentiator for him, one that he hadn't had much of prior to the surgery. Finally found a grip that he likes. Dropping 10 inches more on average than it was before he had Tommy John surgery with his previous changeup. His 0-2 to Canzone is swung on and missed. Got him with a curve. Well, the home run profile is sponsored by Budweiser. These Mariners third in the majors in home runs this season. And, you know, you look in this series, Toronto's still not striking out, still putting the ball in play. They only have 9 Ks. Seattle struck out 25 times. That's way too much. But they're covering it up by hitting the ball out of the park, out-homering Toronto 4-1. And this postseason, when you out-homer your opponent, you're 19-4.
Yeah, well, it helps too that the 2 of those are 3-run homers. It's different if it's just 4 solos, but you're right. I mean, they ran into some monster damage that really kind of set back the crowd in Toronto and really shocked Toronto as a whole because of how good they were playing coming into that series.
Victor Robles with one away, unable to lay off. Back-to-back Ks as he's had the breaking ball working a little bit better here.
Well, he's got a quick fastball that he can paint. When he's on, what makes Bieber such a unique pitcher is he's so short and doesn't give the hitter, meaning not short in stature, short to the ball arm out of the glove, and his ball carries, and the hitter just doesn't pick it up.
1-1.
Like that pitch right there, it might as well be 97 to the hitter. When he's on plane and then he mixes his secondary stuff, fantastic.
Is 1-0 to J.P. Crawford, tipped into the glove. Said there's still times where his body, quote, just doesn't really know what's going on. And this is his 9th start since coming back from Tommy John.
Ball 2.
Hasn't always been smooth, but for the most part has found the way to fight with whatever he's had on a given night. And he said he was actually pretty happy with how he felt in New York and that he didn't feel like he was that far off from pitching how he wants to pitch. And these are the kinds of days that motivated him during that long rehab back from Tommy John, thinking about pitching in the postseason again.
Well, in fairness to him, the hardest part has been he didn't have enough reps to get into that comfortable mode. Most people who come back in Tommy John are given that next half year or full year to get recovered. And he's having to do it on the fly in the pressure of the playoffs.
3 balls and 2 strikes on the 9-hitter Crawford. Payoff. Got him, and he strikes out the side in the 2nd.
Welcome back to Seattle, joined by Mariners manager Dan Wilson. George Kirby, so talented, he can be different kinds of pitchers. Tonight, 20 fastballs out of his first 24 pitches. What stands out to you?
Yeah, you know, his command. We talked about it a lot. He's got great command with his heater. And when he's on with that, and he's got command of his other stuff too, it's a tough at bat.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Thanks, Tom.
Ernie Clement, first pitch of the inning, greets him with a base hit down the left field line, and the Blue Jays in business to open the 3rd.
Yeah, a little bit shocked by that first pitch. We talk about all those fastballs, but you mentioned it. This guy loves first pitch. He pulls his hands in on a fastball in and pulls it down the line. And he's ready to hit from the time he steps in that batter's box. So a moment here for Toronto. They've got to figure out a way to get at least one here, if not more, as this crowd just don't sit down very often.
Corners are pulled in here with the 9-hitter Jimenez up. Swings away, fouls it off. Yeah, this crowd stood for most of that 15-inning game. It was amazing.
It really was. I mean, I watched every second of it at home, and the tension and the way that game ended up and the way it was played, they had to sleep for 2 days after the game.
Here's a high fly ball off of the bat of Jimenez that's carrying well. Robles turns and watches it fly. It's the 9-hitter Andres Jimenez, of all people, giving Toronto the swing that it desperately needed. It's tied at 2.
Well, we always talk about in a series when things aren't going well, what happens to flip the script? What shocking moment or what moment turns it momentum? And you could look to this homer where you don't see many out of Jimenez in the 9th spot as being one of those moments if the series were to turn for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, we asked John Schneider at the start of the playoffs, who's it got to be without Bo Bichette? And he said it's got to be everybody stepping up for him. But how about the guy that's in his spot, playing short because he's out, going deep for the first time in this postseason? And it's back to square one as Springer takes inside ball 1.
They're just a really good team with runners on, especially runners in scoring position. They didn't have any opportunities. Really, after the first inning in game one, they had very few opportunities.
First 2 games, they were 1 for 42 from the 3rd inning on. They're 2 for 2 with 2 runs here. Calling 2 strikes on Springer. There's all the offense in the early innings the first couple games. Homer in the first game, the double in the second game. 5 extra base hits out of his 5 hits total this October. Fly to right. Robles makes the catch and protects that shoulder as best he can. That looked a whole lot like the play that knocked him out for most of the year back in San Francisco 2 weeks in. Look back at the home run that sailed over his head.
There's a sinker that catches the middle part of the plate. He's ready for it and went up there with a plan. I don't know if it was to launch, but he did.
Only 7 home runs all year. First one of the postseason. Ties game 3.
Outside.
Ball 1 on Nathan Lucas. Not out of the question to think Jimenez could hit for you. He could get going. This guy who's been an all-star before. It's a .297 hitter in Cleveland a few years back. The Blue Jays picked him up in a trade this offseason, mostly for his defense. Not thinking he could ever be the guy to change things for him offensively. Lucas rips a base hit to center field. Nathan Lucas just keeps on doing it. His 4th hit the last 2 games. And now here's Guerrero.
Last couple fastballs, he's trying to bury inside and have it come back over the inner part of the plate, and it's catching the middle of the plate. And that is what we talked about the Toronto Blue Jays. If you keep center cutting pitches, they're going to make you pay. And I think this is a great meeting at the mound here for Cal to go out and talk.
Well, John, we were talking about Robles protecting his shoulder over there in the corner on this play. This is really eerily similar to the play that he made in San Francisco 2 weeks into the year, where he dislocated his shoulder and then ended up missing the entire season. Didn't come back until the final month, and you know that had to be in his head as he went over there.
That one. That was awful.
It was in the 10th game of the year. Didn't come back until late August. A guy that brings so much energy for him. And forget the energy, just the defense, period. The defensive play of the year for him in Houston to help wrap up the division with a diving catch. Turn into a double play to end the game and end a sweep there. Tied up in the 3rd. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. against George Kirby. And an infield hit his first time. First hit of the series.
Stay away, get a ground ball. Slider away, get a ground ball. Slider over the middle of the plate, you'll get a fly ball, and it could be bad news.
Slider was down the middle, but he took it. You mentioned the ground balls. That's been the problem for him when he's not right. Just a tick off timing wise, and it's all in the ground. That's ripped towards the left field corner and off the wall. Lucas to 3rd. Guerrero's headed for 2nd with a blur of a double. And he shouts into that dugout and says, "I'm back."
Well, no sooner did I spit it out of my mouth. This is the one thing that you can get out of Guerrero. If you leave a slider middle in, and he can launch it. Now the difference is it stayed in the park. But he hit it super hard. So already the Blue Jays taking advantage of some pitches in the middle of the plate. And this is what they do best.
Santander, 2nd and 3rd, 1 away in a tie game. Infield comes in for Dan Wilson. Blue Jays looking for the lead. Santander swings and misses. Here's a spot where you gotta find a way to get it in play.
Look for him to climb the ladder as much as he can with this fastball, and then if he wants to, spin his breaking ball, but get above the barrel of the bat, because you know he's trying to hit a fly ball. So it's either above the bat in the barrel or below it. And that's what he tried to do there with the breaking ball.
Well, he's been a guy who's limited the walks. The strikeouts have come at the highest clip of his career this year. Kirby to Santander with a 1-1 pitch. Ball 2. Kirk on deck.
First 2 innings relatively easy. Got the leadoff batter out each time. This started with a double. And that starts a rally. And I told you, anytime you get a runner on in the postseason, it's a rally.
Kirby wants a K. With a 2-2. Taken low. Full count on Santander.
Kind of surprised he didn't go back upstairs with the fastball. He's been trying to get breaking balls down in the zone.
4 hits in this inning. Lucas at third, Guerrero at second. Here's the payoff. Chopper to first. No movement. Naylor to the bag. As good as a strikeout, 2 away.
Went back to the fastball, tried to get it up, didn't get it up enough, but got the result he wanted. And now a chance to bear down and get out of what could have been a nightmare inning here. Again, ball up to Kirk. Not exactly the best pitch. That's not what you want. Don't let his size fool you. He can hit a ball where it says Blue Jays. He can get on top of that ball when it's up.
First one to Kirk.
Sorry.
Up and away. Yeah, this is a spot where being 5'8", being undersized, kind of works as a superpower for him with those short arms and his flat swing. He's hitting .395 against elevated fastballs. 2 on, 2 out. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Kirk takes ball 2. Unofficial captain of this Blue Jays team. And flat out hit.
A 2-0 pitch here. See if he gets back in the count with a slider. Yeah, he just missed.
.24 pitches for the first 2 innings. 23rd pitch of this third. The 27-year-old from Rye, New York. A 150 postseason ERA for George Kirby. A 3-1 to Alejandro Kirk. Taken for ball 4 and the bases are loaded. First walk of the game issued by Kirby, and a big chance here for Dalton Varsho. It's only 1 base run over the first 2 innings, 4 hits and a walk here in the third. And Varsho, the 8th man to bat. Varsho, one of the guys that had a huge division series, but has struggled in the championship series. And when the Jays were going through a similar stretch to this one through September, and it looked like the division was going to disappear and the Yankees were going to overtake them. They had a 1-6 stretch where they could not score. It was Dalton Varsho who had a grand slam against the Red Sox that John Schneider said was like popping a balloon. Started a 4-game winning streak to end the year and win them the division. Here he is with the bases loaded again. Game 3 of the championship series. Kirby to Varsho. In the dirt, Riley keeps it close.
And this is what happens. You get in these moments and you start overthrowing your secondary pitches. And the last couple breaking balls have really been thrown in a non-competitive place where he traditionally can throw that for a strike anytime he wants. That's how good his command is.
Yeah, you're almost never going to see 50 pitches in 3 innings from Kirby. Got a chase, but it's a wild pitch, and the Blue Jays take the lead. Lucas in to score. He overthrows another, and it's 3-2 Toronto.
I mean, just a tough play for Cal. He's trying to scoop that short hop, and he catches the top of his glove.
Varsho cranks a highline drive to right field. Robles watches it hit off the wall. 2 runs will score. Varsho with a double. The Blue Jays offense has come to life. A 5-run third.
Another fastball that is absolutely squared up. So the Toronto Blue Jays got to their magic number really quickly. They scored 5 in 1 inning.
74-5 this year when they get 5 runs in a game. Barger rolls it to second. Polanco's got it. And the inning is over. They scored 4 runs over the first 2 games of this series. They go to Seattle, the toughest place to hit in baseball. And at the bottom of the order, they light the fire. Home run from Jimenez. Double from Varsho. 5-2 Jays in game 3. Randy Arozarena, top of the order for the Mariners here in the 3rd, trailing for the first time. 5-2 Toronto. Second look at Shane Bieber here, who has looked different since that first inning. Struck out the side in the 2nd and ahead 0-2.
Yeah, much better rhythm and much better break on that slider.
Strikes out Arozarena on 3 pitches. That is 4 Ks in a row and 5 out of the last 6 hitters.
It really does help when you can get that pitch to do that. His fastball, again, the best way I can explain it is sneaky fast. And he spots it well and keeps it low and then pitches off that.
And so he faces Raleigh with the bases empty. His first pitch to him is swung on and missed. Good looking changeup. So they've given him the lead here. You're already pitching in a place that is a great pitcher's park. That's a couple things that I feel like got to arm you mentally as a pitcher. And a pop up of Raleigh. Right side of the diamond, Clement. 2 out. Well, here's the one guy that's gotten him. You go back to game 2. Rodriguez homered down the line to start the scoring. That was a 3-run blast. And then in the first inning today, a 2-run job. Strike 1. The guys after Cal Raleigh getting involved too. Mostly Raleigh during the division series, but Rodriguez, the 2 home runs here in the championship series. Polanco's been awesome. Naylor's been good. Now the chase, 1-2.
Well, that's how you take a crowd out. Explode for 5 runs and you go from being in big trouble to see, told you everything's fine.
Outside. Things change so fast, game to game and within games. Bieber's 2-2. Bouncing ball left side. This could be an infield hit. It will be. No try even from Barger. And Rodriguez is 2 for 2, showing off a couple dimensions of his game. The power with the home run and now the speed with the infield hit. As Jorge Polanco comes up to the plate, player profile is presented by Liberty Mutual. He's been a monster for him in this postseason. He's been great really going back to mid-August. You go back to mid-August, he's 3rd in the majors in slugging. He's top 5 in runs batted in. Doubled his first time today. They asked him, man, how do you keep doing it? And he said, I love these situations and keep it simple. And what can I say? I'm clutch. Flies this ball to center field for Dalton Varsho. And a shutdown inning for Shane Bieber. 3 innings in the books. 5-2 Toronto.
Back at T-Mobile Park with Blue Jays manager John Schneider. John, you're coming off a 5-run inning. What changed offensively?
I think we're trying to be aggressive against his fastball, and I think, you know, Ernie obviously doing what Ernie does, and then Hemi taking a shot, not just trying to, you know, play a little bit of ping pong and get him over, you know, understanding that they're attacking us with fastballs and putting a really good swing on it, and then, you know, good swing from Vlad, really good at bat from Kirky, and then Varsh with a big knock. So really good inning. We got to keep adding on though.
Shane Bieber, the home run by Julio in the first inning, but since then has been brilliant. What have you seen?
I think, you know, the secondary stuff is where we want it to be. Just a mistake fastball to Julio, kind of ran back middle. But he's locating those last 2 innings, locating all of his pitches really, really well where he wanted to, up, down, and having a good mix with Kirky.
John, thanks a lot. Joe, back to you.
Thanks, Ken.
All right, Kenny. Aaron Clement, who started last game with the double and came to score the first of their 5 runs, takes a strike, 2-1. We're talking to John Schneider today, down 2-0. How do you approach it? He said, I've thought a lot about it. I had the whole plane ride to think about it. He said, I think the right idea is I don't want us to change anything. I want this to be as normal as can be, because how many times have we won 2 out of 3 games? It happens all the time through the regular season. It's all you got to do here to get this back to his home stadium.
That's all.
Said that he watched a highlight video that somebody sent him of the last time that a team erased a 2-0 deficit where they had dropped the 2 games at home. That was, of course, you were on the wrong side of that. In 96, that is strike 3 on Clement for the first out of the 4th.
Yeah, and it only takes something that you unexpectedly would never do to flip a series. And in our case, in game 4, we had a 6-0 lead, and we lost that game. And the whole momentum shift as that game was unfolding changed the way everyone felt, and didn't have to say it overtly. You just knew, like, uh-oh. And that's kind of what happens here. One game can turn the narrative. And that's all Toronto wants to do. They just want to change the conversation. The conversation was been coming into this, what happened to your offense? Well, in 1 inning, oh, there it is.
Everything's fine. 0-2 on the guy that gave him the first big swing today, Andres Jimenez. Tied it with a homer. StatCast 3D powered by Google Cloud. His first home run this October.
Yeah, he was ready for it, and he was thinking pull the whole way. And he pulled it, and he got rewarded with a 2-run homer.
This is the site of an early turning point in the Blue Jays season here in Seattle. They had blown back-to-back games in Anaheim. They were below 500. They got to Seattle at like 4 a.m. the next day and then swept the Mariners. Scored 7 runs per game that weekend. Swing and a miss, and back-to-back Ks to open the 4th.
Well, Kirby's got a job to do now, and it's try to limit the damage and give them as many innings, quality innings as possible. You don't want to just go to relievers as fast as you can in this long series. And even though you're dejected down 3.
First pitch swinging. This ball's hit in the air to deep center field, and George Springer gets it over the wall for a home run. His extra base impact continues. Third home run of the postseason for Springer, and they've got 6.
Third up. He was ready for it.
Well, he's edged 200 in this postseason, but all 6 hits have gone for extra bases. 3 of them home runs. Boy, who saw 3 home runs over the first 3.5 innings of this game, Kyle? Ties him with Bernie Williams for 4th all-time in the postseason.
Tito!
Lucas taps it along first. Kirby's there. Good athlete, makes good play, and ends the inning. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the inning, but then the first pitch that he sees, as he did the first pitch of the game in Game 1, George Springer clubs a home run. Welcome back to the 2025 American League Championship Series on FS1, presented by Lone Depot. A 5 spot for the Jays in the 3rd inning after they scored 4 runs in the 2 games back in Toronto, and they lead Game 3 6-2. Joe Davis, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal, Tom Verducci as Josh Chandler chops the first pitch foul from Shane Bieber. Two-run home run for Julio Rodriguez in the 1st inning. Just 1 base runner in the 2 innings since, as Beavers collected 4 Ks in that stretch. And 30-year-old pickup at the deadline. A big improvement from his start in New York.
Well, you know he's going to go to work in the side session and figure it out. He certainly has been much improved.
Clement takes his time and gets Naylor.
Takes his time because he was asking Kirk if he was all right. That follow through caught him pretty bad, or he thought it might have caught him, so he was checking with the catcher. And watch his follow through on the swing. He catches him. All right, maybe not as, but he was going to check and make sure.
He's got a brother who's a catcher. Checking on his brother's fraternity brothers. Ball on Suarez. Popped out his first time. A hit in both games in this series for Suarez. Beavers 1-0. Swing and miss.
And that's the same swing that Suarez is going to have on almost every swing. It's the ball he's looking for to launch. And he just missed it.
It's at 50 home runs this season, regular and postseason combined. At the top of the majors in home runs since he debuted more than a decade ago in Detroit. Tigers to the Reds, to the Mariners, over to the Diamondbacks 2 years ago, and then back to Seattle at the deadline this year.
I mean, this should be a slider away off the plate, and I don't know if he could stay off of it. Well, he just didn't get it high enough. He can repeat it again on 2-2. But throwing that slider, I'd say about knee high, coming out of his hand, that will be hard for Suarez to stay off.
He's got so much more swing and miss on that pitch than he did against the Yankees when he only had 5 swings and misses total. He's doubled that tonight. Here's his 2-2 to third, and Barger is over the plate, but he got away with it 2 away. Play the Fox Super 6 MLB Playoff Challenge. Download the Fox Sports app right now and enter for free for a shot to win your share of $10,000 in cash prizes. See the Fox Sports app for details. He's retired 10 of the last 11. And Dominic Canzone comes up on a gorgeous night here in Seattle. With the roof open, temperature dipping down into the high 50s. Am I saying gorgeous night and you're looking at me in my coat?
No, it is.
Thick
It's
coat.
nice. It's nice.
It's a little chilly though, right?
A little bit.
A little crisp. One on Canzone. Bieber looking to make this bounce back out, and you mentioned him going into the bullpen between games and trying to smooth things out. He has enough of a track record where John Schneider says, yeah, I know what happened the first time around, but there's still that word trust that you have when this guy takes it. And even when they got him and they didn't have certainty what it was going to look like coming back from Tommy John, enough there where he's proven that you can trust him.
Yeah, he is one of the best at right-handers before his Tommy John, and unfortunately had to have that surgery, trying to regain his form. And again, I know we talked about it before, but it's the weird factor of chasing velocity that may or may not have contributed to his Tommy John. He wanted to get velocity back, trained differently, and did some different things, and unfortunately, Tommy John.
Came early on last year in Cleveland. First couple starts that he made before the surgery, he looked better than ever. One of them came here. Completely dominated Seattle. And in his career pitching in this ballpark, he's got a 1.52 ERA, so that had to give him a little bit of a boost coming off of the rough game in New York. Going to a place where he's got good memories. Let's go the 2-2 to Canzone, and a fly ball to the left field corner. Lucas over on the move to foul. Oh, can't quite get there, and then crashes into the sidewall with that bad knee. I hope it was the other knee that hit the wall. And see the pad there under his pants on his right leg. If he fouled the ball off his knee a couple nights ago.
Yeah, if you softly flicked him here in that area, he would be really ticked. So imagine hitting it. It's a full-blown bruise.
I think it was the other knee, but probably still enough of that knee. Like you said, all you got to do is just tap it, and it's going to hurt. Another 2-2. Picturing Ricky Bobby at the doctor's office. You feel it stabbing the thigh.
Don't do it.
Eighth pitch, Bieber to Canzone. Bieber wins the battle with a disappearing changeup, and Shane Bieber with 6 strikeouts. Vlad Jr. to lead things off for the Jays as we go to the top of the 5th in Seattle. Well, tomorrow the National League Championship Series continues on TBS. The Brewers head to Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers after the Dodgers starting pitching dominates the first 2 games in Milwaukee, and then we'll be back with you at 8 o'clock Eastern. Snell and Yamamoto both dazzling. Snell goes 8, Yamamoto goes the distance. First time back-to-back starters going 8+ innings since 2010. Vlad Jr. sends a high drive to deep center field. Rodriguez to the wall, it's gone! First pitch of the 5th, Vlad Jr. launches a solo shot. Single, double, homer, Vlad Jr.'s back. And it is 7-2 Toronto as they've gone deep 3 times in game 3.
Well, again, slider there at the bad angle that he likes, and he knew it. He didn't know how close it was, but he knew it, that he hit it good. And Julio just came oh so close to an incredible Rob home run.
Santander. You know, Vlad Jr. is starting to show an ability to do things that only the upper tier of superstars seem to be able to do, and that is on command, when he knows his team needs him, push a button and be a superhero. I mean, you look at the division series, first at bat hits a home run with all the pressure on the Blue Jays. Can they win a postseason game for the first time in a decade? Can he show up in the postseason? He had never hit in the playoffs. On command, he was a monster. And here his team is in serious trouble, down 2-0. Again, stepping up and putting him on his back.
Yeah, you talk to hitters and, you know, what does it take, right? The ebb and flow, the up and down, days off, go through stretches where you're 1 for 20. And then something happens and it clicks and you just feel like you're just a moment away from going 7 for 20, 8 for 20. And he put on a show in that first series. And it was almost impossible to continue that in this series, but this game's crazy.
Santander takes the walk. And the bullpen gets active for Seattle. Bullpen more than active. Carlos Vargas may be coming into this game as Dan Wilson makes the walk. So George Kirby, who had been so good over his first 4 games in the postseason in his career, was excellent in the division series against the Tigers. Did not have it tonight. The Jays scored 7 runs against him in 4+ innings. Well, these two franchises that joined the major leagues together in 1977, the year that Star Wars came out, the year that the home computer was released. Yeah, and years of suffering for the Jays and for the Mariners. Took 15 years before Toronto made it to the playoffs. Same for the Seattle Mariners, who are still trying to make it to the World Series for the first time. Alejandro Kirk takes upstairs and a ball from Vargas. As this Mariners bullpen that has been untouchable with 18 consecutive scoreless innings goes back to work here. 1-0 to Kirk. Bouncing ball towards the middle. Under diving Crawford. That's the 5th hit of the game against a sinker for the Blue Jays. Remember, they came into the game 0 for 17 in the series against him.
Making the adjustment. Hitters go to the cage to work on things. They see a game plan. And when it's all inclusive and one way, they have to make them change. And right now, getting sinkers and getting hits will cause them to think about changing.
Varsho knocked in 2 with a double his last time up, his first hit of this series. And so all the guys that came in here struggling, you look at Vlad Jr. was hitless. He's got 3 hits. Varsho was hitless. He's got the 2-run double. Ernie Clement was 1 for 7. He's got a double. Andres Jimenez, who was hitless over the first 2 games, he's got a homer. Jays offense that rarely stays down long has roared to life. And they've done it in a ballpark where you're not supposed to be able to do it, and where nobody's really done it in the postseason. I mentioned as the game started, there hasn't been more than 6 runs combined in a game in the postseason here in 25 years. There haven't been that many games in the postseason, but still,
yeah,
it's 3-1, it's 2-1, it's 1-0.
Well, maybe both these teams needed some adversity to kick in gear. I mean, the adversity that Seattle had to get to this series certainly worked in their favor the first 2 games. And now the adversity of the Toronto Blue Jays sitting there going, what just happened? Like, you're watching that game going, go more. 17 innings, go 18 innings. Chaos. And that chaos turned into, we're down 2 games.
Fly ball, shuttle right. Polanco's under it with the infield fly rule for the first out, and we check in with Tom Verducci.
Yeah, this was a classic matchup, strength on strength. George Kirby, fastball, strike zone pounding pitcher against a great fastball, aggressive team. Decided edge for the Blue Jays. All 9 hits they have in this game have come in the first, second, or third pitch of the at-bats. The run-scoring hits, 0-1, 1-1, first pitch, first pitch. They are not waiting.
And really, they weren't over the first 2 games either. It's just they weren't getting the results. They had just the 1 home run from Springer. weren't hitting the ball nearly as hard as they did against the Yankees, and the hard contact that they did have was either straight up or into the ground. Barger, who's trying to join the party, pops this down the left field line. Rosarena is there. 2-away. Here are those numbers against the sinker that we were referencing. 0 out of 17 the first 2 games, 500 today.
A little bit too center cut. That's the difference. And when you make great pitches to great hitters and great teams, you're going to get outs. The room for error, though, is the hitter's advantage if you can get a mistake.
Ernie Clement pokes from the right field. That's a base hit. Santander's waved home. Robles throws for the plate. It's cut off. Throw to third. He's out, but the run had scored. Santander had stepped on home, and so it's 8-2 Blue Jays as Clement knocks in another. 5 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 2 more in the fifth. Third consecutive inning with a long ball. First it was Jimenez, and then a little more likely characters, Springer and Vlad. Back in Seattle, it is 8-2 Toronto, and already a defensive change for the Blue Jays. Miles Straw into the game in left field. You wonder if that knee of Nathan Lucas barking again after that play that he made against the sidewalk. Shane Bieber goes back to work, misses high with his first pitch on Victor Robles. I beg your pardon, Lucas has moved over to right field, so the knee's fine. Santander's out. This is just an early defensive strike by John Schneider.
Here you go.
Eight, 9-1 for the Mariners here. Robles swings and misses, 1-2. That slider has turned the corner tonight.
Oh, he's been good. He threw 2 bad ones, and ever since then really been on playing with it and getting the tilt that you need.
Flex a second. Easy play for Ernie Clement. And he's retired 12 of the last 13 after 3 of the first 4 hitters of the game reached.
A little easier to pitch now when you got that lead, but you still want to make sure that you don't give your manager any reason to cut your work short. He would love nothing more to let Shane Bieber go 7 innings, I'm sure.
Especially the state of this bullpen. That has been the biggest differentiator in the series is Seattle's pen versus Toronto's pen. A strike on J.P. Crawford. Seattle's pen hadn't given up a run prior to this game, while the Toronto bullpen giving up the 6 runs the other day. There are 2 games in Toronto now with a 6 ERA in the postseason. Crawford with a base hit into center. And a 1-out base runner for the Mariners with the top of the order coming up. Rosarena walked and scored in the first inning. And then struck out and is now 0 for 9 with 6 Ks in his career against Shane Bieber.
Well,
30-year-old out of Cuba. The Cuban Rocket, they called him, coming up. Fled Cuba when he was 20. After his father passed away, he knew he needed to support his mom and his 2 younger brothers. June of 2015, and basically a glorified raft. Middle of the night, left Cuba and arrived in Mexico. Baseball is the dream, but during the boat ride, he said pretty much all the thought is, I just hope I survive this trip. And he gets there to Mexico, spends about a year getting everything established, trying out for teams, signs with the St. Louis Cardinals. Got traded to Tampa Bay. That's where he had his breakout postseason. Before he even was officially a rookie, he had those 10 home runs in 20 games in the postseason, and then the next year won Rookie of the Year. The Cuban Rocket on 3-1. Chops it to third. Barger's got it. We'll go to second for 1. Toss to first is late.
Replay hold. Replay hold.
Yeah, he's missing out on that lightning quick bat. He just hasn't been connected in really like a year and a half, 2 years now on the fastball, where he was just dominating in those playoffs we were talking about.
Two away for Raleigh. 0 for 2 today against Bieber.
I'm sorry.
I feel like he's close. I know he's been banged up and playing a lot, but he's missed a couple pitches that he normally didn't miss in the regular season.
Pops this one up. Foul ground at first. Vlad Jr. and Kirk over there. Out of room.
And see, that's where they go. He has a big hole inside. It's a weird stat. He has a high sluggers percentage on the inside part, but he also has a lot of swing and miss on the inside part of the plate. So they were trying to get him close to his hands, but going in there, the room for error is huge. If you make a mistake, he pays it off. But if you execute, he's not going to get that hit.
More home runs than anybody in baseball, but he also had more swings and misses than anybody in baseball this year. On this 1-1 from Bieber, he takes it outside, ball 2. And the bullpen gets moving. Mason Fluharty. Raleigh trying to take a chunk out of this deficit. 2-1 pitch. Chopper foul.
If only.
Tap his feet inbounds for the touchdown.
That'd be a cool rule if you were in fair and you grabbed it foul and made it
I kind
fair.
of like it. Drag the toe. Ooh, I don't know.
College. He's in college.
For sure. Two and 2 on Cal Raleigh. Got him with a high fastball and a roar from Shane Bieber, who has transformed from his first game to this one. 7 Ks for the right-hander. Now the Blue Jays had 1 hit after the second inning in the 2 games in Toronto. They have 8 hits over the last 3 innings here. And 8 runs. Andres Jimenez leads off the top of the 6th and fouls off the first pitch from Carlos Vargas. I mean, it's all upside down. It seems like every time we think we know what's going on, we think we have an idea where the series is headed, it goes the totally opposite direction with the road teams reigning supreme. Bounce under Suarez and into left field for a base hit to open this inning.
Well, it's an offense that I know it sounds like, well, it can't be this simple. But their rhythm, when they get hits and get on base, they just do it better than anybody else. I mean, statistically proven, when the runners are on base, runners in scoring position, they do their thing better than anybody else. So that's how they get it done. And if they are to come back and win this series, that's how they're going to get it done.
We talk about this being a place where they had a big moment early on this year. Max Scherzer talks about this series in Seattle back in early May, and Max has been around a long time. He's going to start tomorrow's game, by the way, but an 18-year veteran said he identified this series here where they swept the Mariners as the moment when he knew this team was special, because they had just gotten rocked by the Angels, tough losses, had all the excuses about they didn't sleep, plane got in late, but they came back and dominated. Springer off the end of the bat to right field. That's going to find a hole. Springer throws on the brakes as Robles gets it into the cutoff man, and they're at first and third with nobody out looking for more.
Speaking of Scherzer, he's probably sitting there going, all right, boys, save a little bit of that for tomorrow.
Ken Rosenthal.
Well, speaking of that offense, guys, remember what John Schneider told us before the game about being more aggressive in the zone. The Mariners know that the Blue Jays don't strike out, so they were thriving in the zone and inducing weak contact. Tonight, 6 balls over 100 miles per hour. That aggression, taking shots, it's clearly paid off.
Well, we figured it was a matter of time before this Blue Jays offense, one of the best in baseball all year, woke up. Out of the bullpen is sponsored by AT&T. It is Caleb Ferguson coming on to pitch, who they picked up at the deadline from Pittsburgh. He was really good in September. Had a 1.80 ERA in September, but then one of those outings in the division series where they've stayed away from him since. He gave up 3 runs without getting an out in Game 3, his first outing since then. And it comes in an 8-2 game with runners at the corners and nobody out. Nathan Lucas bouncing the first pitch to first. Here comes the runner from third, and he'll score with a dive as Lucas is tagged out. Jimenez in to make it 9-2 Jays.
Contact always does something, and it's not 100 miles an hour contact, but it's contact nonetheless, and that scores the run. And a great read. And an RBI.
They're going to put Vlad Jr. on intentionally here with first base open. Tonight they've paired that contact with the power. Three home runs for the Blue Jays in this game, trying to get in the win column in this series. Down 2-0. This is the first at bat for Miles Straw, who came on defensively for Anthony Santander last inning. Straw's not gotten many at bats, but even he has contributed when he has. First at bat of the championship series here. For a guy like Jimenez, it was acquired from Cleveland this offseason. He's gone from the Astros to the Guardians to the Blue Jays, and new life for him. Because last year he spent the whole year in AAA with Cleveland. Gold Glove defender, below average at the plate, but they had no choice but to give him some time. And Dalton Varsho was dealing with his injuries earlier this year, and a much better offensive season than Straw had shown in recent years. Varsho back. Straw still has a role. Former junior college walk-on. He didn't have any scholarship offers coming out of college, but he wanted to keep playing, so he followed a buddy to St. John's River Community College in Florida. He got drafted out of there a decade ago. On a 2-1 pitch. Pops it foul, 2-2.
You say St. John's River?
St. John's River Community College. The more words in it, the more obscure it usually is. Colleges. Same place that produced Howie Kendrick.
Come on, I was just getting ready to say it's got to be the only one.
No.
It's a factory.
That's right. It's produced a World Series hero. Another 2-2. Straw is down on strikes.
Little cutter gets the job done.
Straw frustrated, headed back there into the dugout as Alejandro Kirk comes up. Kirk quiet a couple games in Toronto, but he's walked and singled today.
Well, if the score holds up, they have half of their job that they have to guarantee. They got to win 2 games to at least get back to Toronto. It's easy to say, but it's harder to do. You got to go, hey, we got to bring these guys back with us. Period. So the job is you got to win 2 games.
Mentioned Max Scherzer going for the Blue Jays tomorrow. Luis Castillo set to counter for Seattle. Kirk sends a fly ball the other way. Robles retreating to the track, to the wall. It's another home run. Opposite field blast for Alejandro Kirk, and a dozen for the Jays on their 4th bomb of the night. What a roller coaster of ups and downs for this Jays offense.
He may be only 5'8", but he's strong.
Third of the postseason for Kirk after he had 3 the last 2 days of the regular season. Pouring it on in game 3.
We saw that jacket a lot against the Yankees. Didn't see it much in Toronto.
Had to get the steamer on it.
Yeah.
Kind of got a little wrinkly. Varsho into center field. That's in for a hit. 13 hits today. Make that 14 hits today for the Blue Jays. 2 of them from Varsho. 5 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 4 here in the 6th. And the Blue Jays are going to have the same luxury that Seattle had in game 2, and that is they don't have to use their top relief arms.
No, and you know 3 days in a row, there was a high likelihood if they were in tight games, they were going to have to do that. You normally, when you say Max Scherzer, you don't say wild card, but he hasn't pitched in a while, and so Max has the pedigree and all that you could ask for in postseason, and he will have that intensity and the look that has made him one of the best pitchers of our generation. So he knows the likelihood of getting double digits tomorrow is not great because they usually don't back that up, but he'll have an easier task if it stays this way at 2-1 versus facing elimination.
It'll be his 31st postseason game. 41-year-old in his 18th year. Like you said, not been a great year for him, but man, a guy with that kind of experience, he'll bet on it. Barger bounces to first. Naylor with the gun to second with 2 outs. Got the 3rd out, and the inning is over. Crawford saying, geez, man, you could have just stepped on the bag. Kirk goes deep. It's 4 home runs today for the Blue Jays, steadying the ship. Just when you think you got it all figured out, here come the Blue Jays off of the deck. 12 runs in game 3. They've hit 4 home runs in this game. And still very much alive in this championship series. 12-2 to the bottom of the 6th. Julio Rodriguez leads off for Seattle. And Shane Bieber keeps on trucking. Rodriguez launched a 2-run home run in the 1st inning, riding the wave of the crowd, and it was like, oh boy, this may be a runaway train, but only 2 hits since.
Yeah, crazy when you slow everything down and you go, golly, man, you play this game 10 more times with a 2-0 lead and Kirby on the mound. There's no way you're going to see 12 runs on the board, but give Toronto credit.
And Bieber deserves just as much. The way that he turned it around from his first postseason start and the way that he turned it around from the 1st inning of this game.
Yeah, struck out the side after that 1st inning. Struck out 4 in a row.
Side. Kind of night he envisioned. His long, monotonous, lonely days of Tommy John rehab. Patience that he's had to practice before. This is a guy who didn't have any scholarship offers coming out of high school. He walked on at UC Santa Barbara. Wasn't until he was a sophomore that he got any money to play baseball. Hit a growth spurt, pitched well, and that was the first time he thought maybe this baseball thing is serious. Maybe this can take me somewhere. And so that walk-on's patience has paid off again, getting him back to where he envisioned himself being. Start your Saturday strong with Big Noon. Explosive duo Bryce Underwood and Justice Haynes leading Michigan against Washington at the Big House. It all starts at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, with Big Noon kickoff live on location from Provo, Utah, and then Huskies Wolverines only on Fox. Swing and a miss from Jorge Polanco. Braden Fisher getting loose in the Blue Jays bullpen. Bouncing ball left side. Backhand play by Jimenez, and a close play, but he got him. And Andres Jimenez having himself a ball game.
Yeah, great play backhand in the outfield. He had to get rid of it quick and on the money.
Now for Shane Bieber, talk about bouncing back from his last postseason start. He really was looking for a morsel of postseason success because he comes into this game with a .523 career postseason ERA. These 8 Ks that he has tonight tying his postseason high. Nailed it at first. Backhand by Vlad Jr. and 6 innings from Shane Bieber with 8 Ks silencing the Seattle offense. Play Ball is baseball's global youth initiative to highlight the fun and accessible ways to play our great game. To learn more, including how to find a league near you, go to playball.org and follow @playball on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Caleb Ferguson remains in the game to pitch for the Mariners, and Ernie Clement leads off, waves at a curve and misses. Ernie Clement, the most aggressive of the bunch, and that's saying something on this Blue Jays team. Bottom of the order, really him and Jimenez 8 and 9 have been awesome. 4 out of 6 combined.
Here you go.
Go back to the 3rd inning with the Jays in a 2-0 hole. It was Clement starting that inning with a double. Jimenez following it with a game-tying homer. That opened the gates. This Blue Jays offense to flood on through with a dozen here in Game 3. Clement at 2 strikes here. He's already struck out today, which is newsworthy. There's his first strikeout of the postseason and only his 2nd strikeout the last month. The 1-2 from Ferguson is popped back and out of play.
Yeah, this could be one of those series that defies a little bit of logic, whereas the team that puts it in play more. But now Toronto's hitting some home runs, so they could catch the homers are king theory.
Well, the teams in the championship series unbeaten this year when they out-homer their opponent. Overall, we mentioned 19 and 4. And you want both. You want the home runs and the contact. 6 of the last 8 champions have been top 3 in home runs, but also 6 of the last 8 champions have been top 5 in making contact.
Yeah, that is, to me, it's a tough recipe to beat a team that puts it in play more than the other team.
Ball.
You got to have some kind of special pitching to overcome double-digit strikeouts by your offense on a daily basis,
like the Mariners have.
Yeah,
really special pitching. And home runs help him cover that up too. There's only one of them today. Out homered 4-1 in this game. Another 2-strike pitch to Clement is golfed to left field. Rosarena is there for the first out of the 7th. NLCS continues on TBS tomorrow. Brewers and Dodgers to Los Angeles for Game 3. We'll be back on the air at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific for Game 4 here on FS1. The road team is unbeaten in this championship series round. The only other time that the road team has gone 4-0 to open the championship series, 1970, when the Orioles and the Reds both did it. And they met up in the World Series with the Orioles winning that. Menez pokes one foul.
Well, some of the best pitching in the world is now happening in LA. So that's the biggest reason why they have the 2-0 lead against the Milwaukee Brewers, who are similar to the Toronto Blue Jays, put the ball in play, use their legs, speed. They just haven't been able to get on base.
Can't steal first.
No. And two of the most impressive outings you'll ever see back to back. And we've seen more of that this postseason, which gives hope to the starting pitcher a little bit. Who knew?
I know you did. Another base hit for Jimenez, who came into this game hitless in the series. He's got 3 of them tonight. Well, Snell and Yamamoto, the first guys to go 8 innings plus in back-to-back postseason games for a team since Bumgarner and Lincecum did it in the World Series 15 years ago. Springer fouls it.
Springer was trying to get his 11th home run on the first pitch in the postseason.
Ten of the 22 first pitch. And then he had his first non-extra base hit of this postseason with a single his last time. Ferguson ahead of him 0-2.
Well, their team numbers are going to look great again. I mean, they were quiet for 2 games, but they got at least 12 tonight. And so that team batting average and individual averages are going to go way up. And they're going to be going into tomorrow's game thinking we could do the same thing. They're going to be facing a little bit different pitcher tomorrow.
Jimenez will take second. It'll be Luis Castillo going for Seattle in tomorrow's game. And Castillo, back to early September, has given up just 3 runs in his last 31 innings. Although the Blue Jays have hit him well. 2 starts against Toronto this year. He's given up 10 runs, or 8 runs in 10 innings. 17 hits against Castillo in those 10 innings. A lot of pitchers that you find who went through similar ordeals against the Blue Jays this year. Springer's down on strikes, 2 gone in the 7th. .32-year-old from the Dominican Republic, Luis Castillo, is in his 9th season, 4th one since coming over at the deadline from Cincinnati in 2022, and he has been a horse for him. The Rock, they call him. 1.33 career postseason ERA. So starter in game 2 against Detroit. 4 2/3, didn't give up a run. Lucas on the ground to second for Polanco. And Ferguson puts up the first 0 for Mariners pitching since the 2nd. Your team, your players, your postseason. Follow all the postseason action. Download the MLB app, the #1 app for live baseball. As John Schneider goes to his bullpen after 6 innings from Shane Bieber, Braden Fisher, the rookie, went 7-0 during the regular season. Hard at times in the postseason, though. He's given up runs in 2 of his 4 games, including giving up 2 in game 2. Penn has been the biggest issue for the Blue Jays. It's been the biggest difference between the teams the first 2 games, with the Jays giving up 6 and now a 6.35 ERA in the postseason for the Pen. But if they can't hold on to this lead, then they don't deserve to be here. Suarez with a rocket of a line drive base hit to lead off the 7th.
Well, the Seattle Mariners hitters got to do pretty much what the Yankees did when they were in this situation and see how many pitchers they can face and see how many at bats they can feel good to carry over into tomorrow.
Final line for Shane Bieber. 8 strikeouts, ties his postseason career high after he struggled through the outing in the Bronx. Ball on Canzone. Kenny, quite a turnaround for Shane Bieber.
It is, Joe, and people watching tonight might wonder, why did the Guardians trade him? He never threw a pitch for them this season while recovering from Tommy John surgery. But what happened was the Guardians knew that Shane Bieber had the $16 million player option, that he likely was to decline if he showed that he was pitching well, and he was looking good in his rehab starts. He was making good progress. So they determined, you know what? He's not going to come back here. He's not going to exercise that player option. Let's make the trade. They got a good prospect in return, a pitcher named Cal Steven. But Shane Bieber, he's made the most of his opportunity.
Canzone down behind and foul. That's what Josh was saying. Easy to dream about what it could be if Shane Bieber tapped into what he had done prior to the surgery. And there have been flashes of it. Big old bright flash of it tonight. Canzone looking for his first hit of this series. Not going to get it here. 4, 6, 3. Good catch by Jimenez on that off-balance toss there from Clement. Double play.
That was a season high, and of course post-surgery high for Shane Bieber on swings and misses, 17. Now 7 of those were on the slider on 12 swings against it, a really high whiff rate. My question for John, you saw that slider in the first inning. It got so much better right after that. How do you make such a quick adjustment?
Yeah, I think when you, I don't think looking at video, I just think mechanically getting to a place where you trust that everything is good if I just execute a better version of this. And really, the one thing you can't predict about Tommy John is every single day that you go out and make your starts, you're not going to have that same feel. And he made a great adjustment from the first inning on. It was flat, and then it wasn't. And they didn't give one hit off of it from that point on. I've always said that when you throw a slider, you don't throw a slider with just your hand. You throw it with your lower half, and you got to be a little bit across your body to be able to create that torque and spin. And he made those adjustments, and it was lights out.
Pop fly left side of the infield, and Jimenez makes the catch. Leadoff man reaches, but a double play, and Fisher faces the minimum. Well, maybe the most impressive thing about what's happened in this series is the way that the visiting teams have taken the home crowds out of the equation. As Luke Jackson comes on to pitch. These are the 2 best home field advantages, at least in the American League. That is both hard facts statistically and just how it feels. As Vlad gets his 4th hit of the ball game,
you got to run.
You got to run. Triple and a cycle. Vlad Jr. stops at second now.
The whole dugout,
big fella.
The whole dugout was telling him he got to get to triple for a cycle.
Oh man.
He took too big of a turn right here. He stumbles, and then right at this point, he's not on track with where he was intended to go, but wasn't going to do anything foolish.
So he's got to settle with a stinky 4-hit night. Home run, 2 doubles, and a single for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And, you go through the regular season with a stretch like this where it's 0 for 7 over 2 games. Nobody's talking about it. You're just talking about that it's been a monstrous last week plus. Strike on Straw, 1-1. Everything magnified this time of year, but if you allow yourself to zoom out a little bit, what an October this has been big picture for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is 90 feet away right there. One more little sprint away from joining Brock Holt as the only guys with the cycle in the postseason. We had Varsho hunting it the other day in the division series too on your score sheet.
My score sheet, He had a triple, but the official score didn't see it that way. Gave him a double.
Crawford. Look at Straw.
Another slider right there for him on a tee. And when I tell you that a guy that can go gap to gap, this is a guy that goes gap to gap. He'll hit doubles and run into homers. He's not going up there looking to hit homers and run into singles. He's a pure hitter that every once in a while when his timing's off, he'll hit a few too many ground balls for their liking. But when his timing is on, and 3 of the 6 games has been electric.
Does not have a triple this year, by the way. Just 1 over the last 4 years. Ball 2 on Kirk. That was the time for it, Vlad.
It's crazy, huh?
He's the 3rd different guy for the Blue Jays to have a 4-hit game in the playoffs, and this is only the 7th game for them. Varsho, Clement, and Vlad all with a 4-hit game.
Yeah, I mean, you're not seeing that too often.
3-1.
When we talk about zooming out and just looking at the full body of work, this October for Vlad, he's now hitting .464 with an OPS of 1479. Just if you're new to OPS, to give that some context, Judge and Ohtani about 1,100. If you get to 1,000, you're in the MVP conversation. In this postseason, he's almost 1,500.
Yeah, you got to add the on base plus slugging to get that number. So that tells you he's been on base and he's slugging, which is more than a single, doubles. Well, no triples and a lot of homers.
No triples. Home run for him tonight was his 4th. 3-2 on Kirk. He's got his 3rd home run of the postseason tonight. Rips it on the ground. There's Suarez, and there is out number 2. And now a quick word from FanDuel.
Make baseball come alive when you bet live this season with FanDuel.
One of the 4-hit guys coming to the plate here in Dalton Varsho. Hitless the first 2 games of this championship series, but 2 hits tonight, and you zoom out on him and he's in that MVP territory in his OPS. Raleigh can't find it, and Vlad Jr. takes 3rd.
You know, in some weird way, these kind of games are more acceptable, maybe not to the crowd, but to a player who's been there, done that, and you're like, we just got beat. It wasn't on a walk-off. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a broken bat hit. We got beat. It's easier to come back and turn the page really quickly the next day. And, you know, again, everything's perspective. If you told this crowd, would you be happy to have Game 4 in Seattle with your team up 2-1? They'd be like, please sign me up.
Strike 3.
That is the inning. Luke Jackson pitches around the leadoff double. Vlad Jr.'s been up 5 times tonight. He's been on 5 times tonight. How about 4 for 4 for Vlad Jr.? Yariel Rodriguez, who really struggled his last time, gets a chance to get back in line here in a 10-run ball game. J.P. Crawford starts the last of the 8th, waves and misses at a high fastball. Rodriguez has not been charged with a run in 1 2/3, but he's walked 4 hitters. left. Strong. Wear what the players are wearing on field during the postseason. You can check out the largest selection of authentic jerseys, caps, hoodies, t-shirts, and more. Go to MLBshop.com for your favorite postseason team gear.
You know, we talk about how quickly things can turn. And unfortunately, we make reference to 1996 because that's the last team, the New York Yankees, to lose their first 2 home games and then win. From game 5 of St. Louis, where we're down 3-1, to after 2 games of the World Series, we outscored our teams 48-2. 48-2, and didn't win another game. That's how quickly things can turn in the postseason when you get just something crazy happen or a flip of the momentum. So the Toronto Blue Jays are very capable of putting together that kind of run offensively, and it's up to the Seattle Mariners. Next guy up on the mound obviously has to keep them from that 5-run mark, which has so famously been their mark on the year.
2-2 on Rosarena, and when you talk about a game like this being easier to turn the page from, what you really got to avoid is what you guys went through in game 4, right?
Yeah.
You're still up 2-1, and then Leyritz hits the home run.
Had a huge lead and lose that game in kind of a shocking fashion.
Ball.
And then the noise that surrounds your head and what everybody asks you, you try to put away and say it's not that big a deal, but ended up being a big deal.
Big deal in that World Series, and big deal sliding doors baseball history. Started a Yankees dynasty. Here's a high drive off of the bat of Rosarena that will leave the yard. Rosarena's got his first home run of the postseason. And the Mariners is something to hang their hat on. Their leadoff hitter, who they hope can catch fire, has a shot.
And see that little thing right there that he clicked and felt? You never know. It might get him going.
He had 27 during the regular season, which was a career high, but he has looked off.
He has. And that'll be a good feeling.
Raleigh. Hitless the last 2. A home run for Rosarena, by the way, his first one in more than a month. You got to go back to September 9th. Raleigh sends a drive down the line towards the pole. Goodbye. Rosarena and Raleigh go back to back. Raleigh's third of the postseason.
Oh,
what
that
an effort.
close.
Lucas getting up there. So it's 12-4. Ball on Rodriguez. 7 home runs in this game between the 2 teams combined.
Who said you can't hit homers in this ballpark?
Right?
I'm going to go on a limb and say that's a postseason record in this ballpark.
I just asked Rick, how many postseason games do you have to stack up to find 7 total home runs here? Got to be a few. Roof is open, not supposed to carry quite as well, never carries that well, even when the conditions are relatively good for hitting it. What do we know? On a 2-1, Rodriguez strokes one in the air, center field. Varsho has room this time. Their eyes have been trained to think that that was going to travel out. Coming up when the game finishes, stay tuned for the guys in the postgame show. Presented by Strauss, Kevin Burkhardt, Alex Rodriguez, Big Papi, and Derek Jeter. And guys, the turkey might have been a little bit pink, but it might have been a smoked turkey. And that could have been a smoke ring.
That's
correct. We're all feeling just fine.
That's correct. Thanks for the concern, though.
We do appreciate it.
Do really appreciate that.
We have some on the way. It's international shipping, so it's still on its way there. I carved it just for you. Louis Rivas, Leo Rivas takes a strike. Got the rally shoe.
And that's not even his shoe.
Leo chance. Rivas 1 for 4 in this postseason. That one hit one that they will remember. Pinch hit in game 5. And an 0-2. Takes in the dirt. Is that one his? Whoa! That's a rally shoe closet.
Those aren't all his.
Can't be. Maybe they're bringing them, like you bring your glove to the stadium, you also bring a shoe. So you don't have to take your shoe off. You just have your rally shoe in your bag with your glove, and when the time calls for it, you break the Converse out. Bright whites.
Strike 3.
Strike 3 on Rivas. Back-to-back home runs from the top 2 hitters in the Mariners lineup. Arozarena in the leadoff spot. Raleigh hitting second. Fueled by shoes on people's heads. You know what it's time for? Fox Foresight, powered by Google Cloud. And they've got the Jays with 10% chance to have a 5th home run tonight, tie a postseason team record. Did they nail it? Or is there a flaw in the system, flaw in the equation?
Saying there's a chance.
1 in 10. Madison Barger takes downstairs, ball 1. 4 of them tonight. Jimenez hit the first of all people. Then it was Springer, then Guerrero, and then Kirk. Barger trying to get involved. He's 0 for 4. He's the only guy in the lineup that has not reached. Oh, baby! 100% chance. Google nailed it.
Did they?
Barger goes deep. His first home run of the postseason. And it's 13-4.
I'll tell you what.
Soft bouncer left side off of the bat of Clement, chugging down there. The first close play that Suarez gets him. I guess, yeah, to your point, did they nail it? They said 1 in 10. They did say there was a chance.
I mean, this was crushed.
All right, so Rick did some digging to see how far back you have to go to find 8 postseason home runs here, like we have tonight. 7 games to find the last 8 home runs in the postseason. And now it's Jimenez to center field for Rodriguez. You got to go back to Game 5 of the division series in 2001. the double game. And for Barger, he does it in his hometown. He was born here in Seattle. Moved to Florida when he was 5, but a diehard Mariners fan. Springer with 2 away. Lashes the ball to right center field. That's down for his 3rd hit of the game. And now a message from Corona.
It's got to be the most hits this year in the postseason, right?
For one team or total?
One team. Got to be.
18 of them. 13 runs on 18 hits. You'd think. Lucas along first. And Jackson will meet him in the base path to end the inning. Another home run for the Blue Jays. Addison Barger's first hit of the series is a bomb. MLB Together is baseball's platform embodying the sports commitment to philanthropic causes and mental wellness efforts by teams, players, and the league. To learn more, visit MLBtogether.com. Rally shoes, rally boots. 13-4. Need a whole trunk of shoes to get the Mariners back from down 9 here in the 9th inning. Look ahead to Game 4 tomorrow, and they send Luis Castillo to the mound. Couple defensive changes. Clement's over to 3rd base because IKF is coming to the game at 2nd. Barger is out after he hits the 5th home run of the game for Toronto. Harry Ford leads off, lines the ball to center field, and has a base hit. So Ford in his first postseason at bat has his first postseason hit. Well, it's not like the Mariners offense has been silent. They have 3 home runs in this game. They've scored 4 runs. This is Mason Fluharty, by the way, on the pitch for the Jays. 4 runs on 8 hits for Seattle. They're just a lot more on the other side.
Well, both pitchers, they watch this game with different obvious outcomes. But for Luis Castillo, he's like, okay, I know what I got to do. And obviously, you got to keep them from bunching runs together. And with this kind of lineup, Scherzer, of course, is going to try to get the swing and miss type pitches and keep the ball in the yard. But I mean, Toronto, all things said, they got to win one more game to get home field advantage back, get back to home. And Luis stands in their way of that tomorrow.
Here is that matchup. A couple veteran pitchers. 26 postseason start for Max Scherzer. And why Scherzer over Bassett? John Schneider's saying that Max Scherzer more of a creature of habit and tied to his routine, where Bassett's a little more malleable. And was not that one of them was more willing than the other to go in a relief role, just that Bassett a little more equipped to do so. And he was really encouraged with what he saw from Chris Bassett out of the pen the other day.
Yeah, absolutely. He hadn't pitched in a long time and did well.
2-2.
Quite a resume. Try to add on to tomorrow at the age of 41. 2-2 on Suarez. Fluharty deal. Suarez grounds it foul.
It is a big deal, though, the difference between 3-0 and 2-1. I mean, you'll sleep a little bit. Whatever his routine is, he'll stay with it. But if you're on the other side, you're on a make Luis Castillo. You want to pass the baton on to your starter for a chance to clinch it in Game 5. So I don't think we'll see this type of game tomorrow, but
3-2.
Does that mean we're going to have this kind of game? Because every time we think we know it, winds up the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, this crowd, I still give it to them. I mean, they're going to be even more electric tomorrow.
Come on.
Tenth pitch coming here to Suarez. Rare that you see him work this long of an at bat. And down on a fastball. One gone in the ninth. Mitch Garver to pinch hit here. You got to go back to the 2017 World Series, Dodgers Astros, to find the last postseason game with this many home runs.
Was that crazy game?
That was Game 2, actually. There were a lot of crazy games, but you're thinking of the one in Houston, right?
Yeah, the one in Houston was beyond belief crazy.
Game 5.
I just found myself saying no way like 5 times.
Yeah, Game 5, 13-12 Astros. That's the one you're thinking of. Wild pitch right here allows Ford to go into second. George Springer homered in that game, one of the 5 that he hit. His MVP effort is record-setting 5-home-run World Series. Justin makes the catch. And the Mariners are down to their last out. And Victor Robles heads up there. So the Mariners go to Toronto and nobody's given them much of a chance to do anything other than survive those 2 games, and they win both. And they come back home here with the pitching lined up, no longer on short rest. George Kirby, who had been so good every time he'd been given the ball in the postseason in his career. Blue Jays offense silent the first 2 games, but it all gets turned upside down. The Blue Jays punch right back and take Game 3 convincingly.
Impressive, especially after the start. Down 2-0 quick and a crowd that's going crazy. Impressive team battle back by the Toronto Blue Jays.
Luis Castillo will take it for the Mariners tomorrow. And that man is heated back up. Vlad Guerrero Jr., 4 hits, including a home run. Kirk homered. Jimenez homered. He hit the first of the 5 home runs for the Blue Jays in this game. Yeah, everybody got involved in the action. With 13 runs on 18 hits. And this American League Championship Series is now 2-1.
Certainly for the manager, it's a much easier game to manage when the score gets that way. For John Schneider, he had a lot less stress.
Yeah, both teams have had that. Game 2 for the Mariners. Dan Wilson was able to use his low leverage guys. Same thing for the Blue Jays right here. Stressful time of year. They'll take all these stress-free days they can get. Down to the field, here's Kenny.
Thanks, Joe. George, Jays scored 4 runs in the first 2 games, 13 tonight. What changed offensively?
I mean, just huge at bats by Ernie, by Hemi, you know, to swing it back in our favor there, and then obviously, you know, Vladdy was great. I just didn't think as a team it was just a good overall game, and it's on to the next.
Shane Bieber, he allows the 2-run homer to Julio, and then gives up the 1-out double to Polanco in the first. Then he recovers to pitch 6 innings without allowing another run. What did that tell you about him?
Oh, I mean, he's nails. You know, I love him. You know, he competes. You know, he wanted this. You know, obviously didn't start the way he would have wanted to, but that's pretty much who he is. You know, he can battle back from anything. So, I love him.
George, you know the postseason, every game stands alone. At the same time, how do you see this series now?
I mean, it's one day at a time. I mean, it's on to the next one tomorrow. You know, that's a great team over there. It's on to the next one.
George, thanks a lot. Joe, back to you.
All right, Kenny, 5 home runs for Springer and the Blue Jays in a Game 3 beatdown. 13-4, the final score. Take it away in the studio, boys.